We thank you so much for watching Law School Made Easy at Law School Made Easy 256. Today we want to dive into equity and trust, and we shall start from the evolution of equity. Why do we arrive at this course unit? And that now means that we are going to discuss what we call the Earl of Oxford case. We are going to appreciate the Earl of Oxford case. This is a case that turned the tables, that formed the present day English law. And now we have what we call equity and trust. Otherwise, we urge you to subscribe to both our channels. We have Law School Made Easy and Voices of the Bar. And from today onwards, all your cases, all the cases of the different course units, all the locus classicus cases shall be posted on Voices of the Bar. So check out. If it is family law, all the leading cases in family law will be posted on Voices of the Bar. If it is contract, if it is tort law, all the leading cases will be posted on Voices of the Bar. So you look out for all those cases. Land law, we are going to post all those serious cases that you need to know in terms of land law, in terms of family law, in terms of equity, in terms of tort, in terms of contract, criminal, constitutional history. All those cases will be posted on Voices of the Bar. So ensure that you are subscribed to Voices of the Bar. So let's now deep dive into the Earl of Oxford. Now, there was King Henry VIII, the King of England, and he married a wife called Anne Boleyn. Now, Anne Boleyn failed to give birth to a boy, and she was accused, she was condemned of incest, adultery, and treason. Okay? Now, there was a lot of growing issue in in England, because of Anne Boleyn failing to produce a man, a boy child. Okay? Now, this history actually, briefly, this also explains the emergence of the Church of England from the Catholic Church, because when King Henry VIII had a woman, Oregon, she decided to marry another wife who is now Anne Boleyn. And now this diverted totally the Catholic Church, and then we have the Church of England. Because he had committed that he had married another woman, yet he was in a marriage, and yet in the Catholic Church they actually believed in one marriage. Now, that aside as being a background, so King Henry VIII gave land to Thomas and Lord Audley, who had issued a judgment to execute Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn was the first person to be executed by beheading. Okay? So Thomas and Lord Audley had given that judgment. Now, Thomas was given land. So in appreciation, the King Henry VIII gave Thomas land. Now, in his will, Lord Audley, in his will, he also gave the land to Magdalene, the College of Magdalene. So land also passed to them by will. Now, the people of Magdalene sold the land to the Earl of Oxford. Land was now sold to Earl of Oxford, and that's why you have the case of Earl of Oxford. Now, there was a statute in England prohibiting transfer of school land to anyone. So they wanted to use this clause to retain the land. Okay? Those of the Magdalene College wanted to use a statute that barred the transfer of land, of school land, to anyone. Now, what they did now, they went to court, and by then we had the common law, and the Lord Coke was in there. Okay? Now, Lord Coke issued a judgment. His judgment was in favor of Magdalen College, saying that they could not transfer land to anyone, and therefore the land belonged to them. But remember, someone has come and bought land. Now you are using a statute to bar this person from enjoying their land. So they were barring the Earl of Oxford from enjoying his land. Excuse me. From enjoying the land that he had at the time acquired. Okay? Now, Lord Coke was the common law judge that handled the matter. Now, what the Earl of Oxford did, he ran to the Lord Chancellor, to the courts of Chancery, where we have Lord Egerton, who issued an injunction against the common law judgment. At the time, we had the common law courts and the Lord Chancellor and the Chancery courts. Now, Lord Egerton in the Chancery courts announced and gave an injunction stopping the actions of the common law court. Now, this angered the Lord Coke and the people who subscribed to the common law courts. And by so doing, they ended up before King Henry. So when they went before the king, King James, I think, when they went before the king, the king was put to task to give his judgment depending on what had happened before. Now, when the king was put to task to now decide between common law and what we call equity. So the king, in his guidance, he guided that whenever common law and equity are at crossroads, they have an issue. Whenever we have an issue between common law and equity, equity shall always prevail. Whenever we have a challenge, equity shall prevail. And from that judgment, we now saw the emergence of equity. That is how we get equity as an established principle that is followed and used up to date. Because now the matter had stayed for the king to decide. The common law had issued a judgment, the equity courts of Chancery had issued an injunction, and now they went to the king to decide. The king told them, whenever there would be an issue between common law and equity, equity shall always prevail. Now we have an introduction of equity into the legal system. And that is why even today we are studying equity. And from that point, equity started to developing many ideas, many ideologies, many principles that are premised on this case, on the decision made by the king in England about common law and equity. And that is how common law started to phase out. Because common law in its application had been harsh and rigid. I can give you scenarios to substantiate how harsh and rigid common law had been. For example, in terms of performance, look at that case of Carter versus Powell. In terms of performance, where you are told to perform a certain duty, even when you perform the 3/4%, 3/4 of the job, you were not paid if you didn't complete, because common law was taken to be exact. But Equity came and said, no, pay this person for the work, quantum merit, for the work he had done. Where he had stopped is where you pay him for that work, and then you get someone to complete. So Equity came in to remedy the wrongs of common law. The harshness, the rigidity of common law was put to an end in the case of Earl of Oxford. Okay, so that is how we developed criminal law. Equity, and to date we are learning about this equity. We thank you so much for watching Law School Made Easy, Law School Made Easy 256. Subscribe, share, like our videos. Until next time, thank you so much. Cheers.